Hi, I'm Kham Inthirath, CEO of Inthink Agency, and we are a growth marketing agency. And I'm really excited to put this together, this informational video today with Joe Kundo, who is a partner at Cornerstone Group with Predictive Index. So without further ado, we're going to just really give you some high-level information about how do we really leverage technology and data points to really understand all the different values and really understand the human capital aspect of our people, and what do we do now in this really confusing and scary time to make better business decisions. Okay. Joe, what would you like to add?
Yeah, and on top of that, great to be here. Thank you very much, Kham, for your time. Really excited to explore some creative ways to help our clients in a very, very difficult and confusing time. We want to remain as optimistic as possible while understanding that everyone's going to be living in probably a different business reality over the next, few weeks, few months, and who knows for how long. So we want to be mindful of that, really think about, what it's like to be in the shoes of our clients, and hopefully collaborate on some ways that our clients can leverage data and some of the tools they may or may not be thinking about to help manage their way through this difficult period.
Okay, so I'm going to begin with some information here, and then Joe will finish up, and then we're always going to be welcome your feedback and any questions that you have after this. I'd love to have this little slide here to kind of really get us in the right mindset, right? Is innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. So be the market leader, take the risk, innovate, and excel. And I think this is really relevant to all of us right now. So how do we manage and get results with a remote team? So questions that you're gonna, these are common questions that we're getting right now, and we're gonna help you really understand some of the answers around this. How to track productivity and accountability remotely? What technology do I need for remote work? How to humanize the experience virtually? How do we optimize interpersonal outcomes working virtually? As a manager, or as an owner, how do I keep my direct reports engaged? And how do we optimize team performance when the landscape is constantly shifting? All right. So a few different tools that we use, and this is what my team uses, and a lot of businesses are using this, and this is free. What we're giving you is options that are going to give you the most value. You can create using Slack. It's like instant messaging, right? You can have department channels, you can have client channels, you can have private channels. It integrates with a lot of different software, with your calendar, with Zoom, if you guys are using Zoom or GoToMeetings, Google Drive, Microsoft. You can share files. So when you're working with a remote team, we use this every day. Like basically, this is our main communication hub. I have a remote team that's actually national and local. Even my folks who are within 30 minutes, we're using this all the time. I mean, now more so than ever, we're almost really have to shift the way we communicate, and this is a great platform to do that. And you can create channels with your clients as well. So from a customer service standpoint, you can actually chat with people on here and attach different documents and really do some great collaboration. It avoids emails. I think right now a lot of folks are just using emails, and you get stacked a lot of emails, and that could really bog down and make it hard to follow. When you create channels, on the left side, you can have channels, or you can even do direct messages. So if you just want to have a private conversation or a private channel, you can make it private too. So it doesn't have to be public. This is a great tool. A lot of resources. You go on YouTube, it'll show you how to use this. Next is Zoom. We love Zoom. We've used GoToMeetings, Google Hangouts. There's a lot of options out there, Uber Conference, whatever makes sense for you. But really the premise of the whole thing, it's team meetings, it's client meetings, it's customer service. You can host webinars. You can do a one-on-one from an HR standpoint or even from a management standpoint. You can try to, this is the closest thing to humanizing the experience, because you can have a video and see the expressions. And taking it a step further, what we do for accountability purposes, not just for ourselves within our team, but also for our clients, we use an add-on called Voicea. And you can see the little robot here in the top right. The nickname is Eva. So it's AI assistant. It actually will record and transcribe the conversation you're having so you can stay focused. You don't have to be typing away and taking notes. And it can also really give you an idea of like what type of conversations you're having. What's the tone you're using? Are you using a lot of, are the meetings not productive because you're doing too many personal conversations? So you're basically eating up 30 minutes of your 1 hour just kind of doing like, hey, how are you doing? What are you guys up to? So you can actually assess the conversations because there's data behind it. For folks doing sales, you can actually see, are they talking about the product too much versus talking about the solution? So there's a lot of great ways to use Voicea and leverage Zoom. And another great way to use Zoom is if you want to create content, you can actually record yourself just like we're recording this right here. And you can answer FAQ questions about your products or services and upload those quickly into social media or on your website. So there's a lot of great to leverage Zoom there. And when we're doing these team calls, it's very different. And how we use predictive index with Joe and his company, it really helped me as an owner understand what's the dynamic look like, what's the best way to communicate, what are the questions I'm having. Even on my one-on-one goal setting meetings, again, using that predictive index tool is really helping me empower me with the right information. So I'm actually really hyper focusing on the right type of questions to give me the type of outcomes that I'm looking for, insight that I'm looking for. And Joe's going to dive into that a little bit more later. Then Loom. This is, I've been speaking about this forever. I probably use it a lot more than most people, but as my team members and even folks like Joe, when I finally actually said, Joe, like you should use this thing, because when you are presenting, I was speaking to someone today where they went and met someone at their house, but their husband still has to come back and look at the proposal. So you can send a quick little video screen share. Here you can see this a snapshot. I was going over some analytics with one of our clients, but this could be anything. The screenshot could be going over a business plan. It could be going over your project management, your notes that you're having with your leadership team. You can just articulate quicker. So think of it like when you're in an office, you go into that person's office or cubicle and you're having a conversation. Loom is great for that. You can record yourself as if you're having a conversation with them, and then it creates a link immediately. Once you're done recording, it will create a link and you send it off in an email. And the other great thing about it, you can track it. So you can find out if someone is actually looking at the video or not. So from an accountability standpoint, if someone's actually watching it. There's a lot of great ways to leverage Loom versus just sending a very long email. I think just hearing it and seeing it and doing multiple touches virtually like this is a lot more productive than a long email or a long Slack message. And just a little tip, like right now, we're trying to humanize the experience. Sending a quick thank you or a quick follow-up to check in on your customers, but sending a little video, right now a lot of folks are sending messaging around how they're going to do business, what does business look like for them. So this is another great personalized ways to send to show that sincerity in the care. And lastly, here's project management. So, when you're in a business, you can probably manage your business because everyone's there. But if you're remote, this is a great way to leverage and kind of see accountability again. Like these are project examples here, the screenshot. So maybe increasing revenue, increasing customer value, how are we growing our team, improving engagement levels. So within that project, though, are tasks, right? So what are all the tasks to manage all this? And working with Joe, it was great for me to understand like who are the right people to put a team together. Because again, it's a team dynamic. So by understanding the buildup and DNA of my team members, I optimized my team for each of these projects. And I made sure I had the right mix of people in these projects. So showing, an audit trail, the communication, accountability, transparency, goals, and this is my last slide here for you. So looking here, like into a project and task, who's responsible? So you can see headshots of folks here. When's the deadline? Then on the right side, you see the communication, right? So yeah, you have Slack for that communication, but if you're gonna talk about something that needs to be tracked, because you want to find out, who made that decision, or who dropped the ball, if that's the case, or who made that suggestion. You just want to know. So keeping your communications inside a project management tool like Asana or Teamwork or Basecamp, there's so many out there. This is going to be crucial, because not just about utilizing this today, but using this even what in the future. I mean, it just makes a lot of sense to have some type of project management software, and this can integrate again with your calendars and all that. So, and your email. So anytime you have a communication here, it will go to email too. So you have multiple ways to virtually run efficiencies within your business, and have multiple checks and balances between communication. So I'm gonna give it to Joe here, and he's gonna dive a little bit deeper on how all this works.
Thank you, Kham. Appreciate it. So if everyone could just hold tight here while I switch over to my screen. So I want to build off a couple of things that Kham had to share. You'll really love how you're thinking about pulling in the different types of technologies, whether it's, Slack, Zoom, Loom, or Asana. I know for us in particular, Zoom and Loom have played a really, really big role. In fact, I was having a conversation with Kham a few months ago how one of our long-term clients who really worked with us sort of in one vertical of types of problems they would let us help them solve, really kind of opened the door to letting us into another area of their business. And one of the things that they attributed to that was the fact that, we sent Loom video to follow up in one of our meetings, and they said, wow, you guys really kind of get it. You really understand how to stay connected to us, how to personalize things. And so it was a really great proof of concept for me that, Kham constantly nagging me to start using Loom in my business was really going to pay off. I want to switch gears just a little bit and talk about how to optimize the remote employee experience. Again, we don't pretend to think at Cornerstone that this is going to be the kind of catch-all, one-stop shop. But if you combine what I call really good plumbing with all the tools that Kham's team, brings to bear and really chooses to use to optimize how you would manage your team, adding in a layer of using really good data about your people to understand how to optimize that experience is critical. Where we typically start is the concept of, this is especially true in an environment where, things are uncertain, people are scared, people are confused. The key is really keeping people aligned and engaged with what you need them to do. And it's all about driving discretionary effort. And we would say there are 4 forces of engagement, 4 levers you can pull to help drive stronger discretionary effort with your people. The first is their work, making sure that they're aligned with the work you're asking them to do. The second and probably most crucial component, we're going to talk a lot about this, is who's their boss, who's their manager, who's ultimately a stakeholder in their success. The third would be the team they're on, right? What's the dynamic of the team? We're going to talk about that. And lastly, is your culture. And when you combine all these 4 elements, again, these are the levers you have to pull to drive stronger discretionary effort for your employees. And all of this is being done with the concept of talent optimization in the backdrop. That's really what my team at Cornerstone specializes in, helping organizations more closely align their business strategy and their business results where people are the connective tissue. So we use this 4-part discipline called talent optimization, or TO. The component that we think is most relevant today, they're all relevant, but given the part of the business cycle that we're in, which could potentially be a shortened or even a protracted pullback, is the idea of inspire. How do I keep people engaged, and how do I drive that discretionary effort that we talked about? One of the tools that we have available to us that gives us a lot of bandwidth and a lot of flexibility here is something called the PI behavioral assessment. The PI behavioral assessment measures 4 core behavioral drives, and your response to those drives helps us really understand more than anything what people need from their environment to be successful. So to make this real for you, let's suppose that we're all connecting on a Zoom meeting, right? Well, if we're just looking at each other on the screen, it's really hard to understand the things that sit sort of beneath the surface, right? What is it that we need from our environment? What really motivates us and what drives us? So when you can layer on top of that, well, here I have a couple of people, right, in opposite quadrants, right? I have Loven on the left, right? Loven's really collaborative, patient, needs time to think and respond. And Loven's really going to need to use some of the very specific tools within Zoom to stay connected, right? And this is where being really smart about how you leverage these tools comes into play. Someone like this probably likes to use the chat feature, and they need to see the camera on. They need to see and read how other people react because they're more of a social learner. The team harmony and cohesion is really important to them. And then you have someone like Danielle on the right. Danielle is going to be more independent, probably a little bit more intense. And this person's really going to need to see results and data. And they're going to want to use the tools like polling. They're going to want to see analytics. They're going to want to see a lot of graphics. These are two people who need to function in the same team and row the boat in the same direction, but they're going to get there in a very different way. So how do we help them do that? Well, first off, how do we help them optimize interpersonal performance? One of the tools that our clients leverage is something called a one-on-one relationship guide, which literally gives two people ideas to work through their relationship strengths where they're really well aligned, some relationship cautions where maybe their styles kind of come into contrast with each other, and how do they work through that? What are some practical tips they can apply to their day-to-day working relationship? If we take it a step further, well, what if we have a situation now where Loven is managing Danielle, right? How does Loven get the most out of Danielle? Right, keep this person engaged, keep them really driving strong toward their individual and team goals. We have another tool called the Management Strategy Guide, right? And all of this is built off of that PI behavioral assessment and gets populated in our software. So I can immediately hand it to the person on the left if they're managing the person on the right to say, this is the checklist of items that, especially in a remote environment, you need to try to find a way to give this person as many of these things as you can to keep them engaged and keep them producing at a really high level. And then when we take it one step further, and this is where we're gonna kind of take it to today in terms of the last step, is thinking about the team dynamics. Obviously, this may be a fairly intense or extreme example, but it's also a business reality we may be living in soon, where our team kind of before all this happens, right, may not look like our team after this happens. So looking at this team here, right, you have a team that is saying, hey, we can survive and thrive in an environment where a good portion of our team is really team focused, right? 41% of our people a little bit more collaborative because their A drive shifts a little bit to the left. 16% of our people are a little bit more introspective, right? They're a little bit more analytical, right? So we have a heavier population of people, again, with that B drive shifting to the left. We also have, 16% of our team where their C drive shifts to the right. They're a little bit more methodical, a little slower to respond, but we're in an environment, right, that might not just tolerate, but even reward that. And lastly, and this is probably the one that's most interesting to me, 42% of this team has higher than average formality, or that D drive falls to the right. They thrive in an environment where things are clear and uncertain. Well, when you have a global pandemic hit and all of a sudden your business gets strained from areas that you didn't see coming, well, what if that team dynamic all of a sudden has to shift, right? What if the environment is a little bit less flexible around what it rewards? You have to really think about your strategic priorities, pursuing your business goals, and if you do have to make some difficult decisions around talent, it's really important to understand, well, what's the makeup of my team today, right? Maybe this is what my team has to look like. Now, obviously, these are projections, right? These are sort of kind of mock-up teams, but regardless of which direction your team strategy is going to shift, it's going to be really critical to understand the DNA of that team and how to get the most out of them. And we think those tools, combined with a lot of the great tools that Kham and his team are leveraging, like Zoom, Loom, Slack, Asana, Voicea, right? Those tools combined with really good people-driven data are some of the key elements, key ingredients that we believe are going to be critical to winning in this environment. If you have any questions for either Kham or myself, please don't hesitate to reach out. You have our email, our cell phone numbers here. We'd love to just have a conversation, get a sense for, if any of these business challenges apply to you. We'd love to at least, take an opportunity to jump on a Zoom call, or if and when we can get back in 3D mode and meet with people face to face, we're happy to do that. But we're prepared to do it either way. And in a very personal way, set you up with a consultation, because at the end of the day, our mission as entrepreneurs, and I think Kham would agree to this, is, we set out to build these companies so we could help clients solve business problems. And we're going to continue to do that. Whatever the environment throws at us, we're ready for it. And we want to help you to be ready for that too.
And we can relate. We're going through the same type of challenges and thinking about the same different, planning ahead of time with you. So it really takes a village. We're here together. We're doing this together. We're here for you. So even if it's a conversation you wanted to ask us, because like between Joe and I, our network is very extensive. If we can bring any value to you, if there's any questions you might have under HR or IT services and security and cybersecurity, working remotely, there's a lot of things that are happening. A lot of the HR stuff Joe handles as well. So we're working on a lot of like marketing and business strategies for our clients. So there's a lot of like overlap, but it definitely takes a village. Reach out to us. If we can give you more ideas around this, we're happy to provide that. We're providing free 30-minute consultations, and we do a lot of that already organically with the local Chamber of Commerce's and other business associations. We're providing that value add during these really, really challenging times. And I know a lot of businesses are trying to get a good handle on what the next steps are. So please feel free to reach out and keep an eye out. We're going to be doing a lot of more of these videos and webinar series in the near future. Right.
Absolutely.
Best of luck, everyone.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Kham. Appreciate your time today. Hopefully we'll connect with everybody soon. Thanks.
All right. Bye.